hired out by the New Republic to hunt down. And we just started.
And guess what I did again?
Oh,
What'd you do?
You forgot to start recording.
I forgot to push the button. It said it's showtime. And
oh my God. Well, we're here.
We're here. We really get to do the cold open a cappella.
At least we're just on news. Go ahead, Tony.
We're just
on the news again.
Should we start over?
Let's rack it.
No,
Let's go.
man, we're already here.
Just go for it.
We're here.
Don't take two. All right, we'll fix it in post.
Okay.
But nobody heard anything. Nobody got the news, Tony. That's what I'm saying.
He's still gonna. I mean,
let's re-rack it.
We can touch it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to take it from the top.
Okay.
We got to take it from the. I'm sorry, guys. That's my fault. That's on me.
That's on me. Him.
I saw the button and it said it's showtime, and I thought that it just started. And it
okay.
I'm
worry.
frazzled. All right.
Lock and load. Let's go again.
But this is why I script everything, so just in case.
Yeah.
All right then. Hold on. Take two. Stand by. I love you guys. Thank you for your patience. All right, let me get that energy back. This is something. This is nothing. This is something. This is nothing. All right, Ahsoka's been framed. The Jedi turned their backs. Anakin spiraling, and we're asking the question that nobody wants to answer. It's the heartbreaking conclusion of the Clone Wars Season 5 this week on your Star Wars Safe Space. Stick around. You guys too, please stick around because, oh my God. All right, here we go. Unbelievable. Hey there, Star Warriors. Welcome to take two of Star Wars Safe Space, your non-toxic low-sodium Star Wars show that doesn't make you feel bad for not knowing that Ahsoka was almost killed off in her original Clone Wars arc. That is correct. Early drafts had her dying at the end of the series during Order 66, but Dave Filoni and George Lucas changed course because she'd become too important to fans and to Anakin's story, as we clearly saw this week. So whether you're a hardcore fan or just a little Swarzy curious, this is your Star Wars Safe Space. We are the Circle of Nerds, and we do absolutely love Star Wars, even if we don't always like it. So let's meet the crew, shall we? Hailing from parts unknown, it is T to the Oni.
Welcome back to the galaxy, everybody. It is a sad day in this galaxy, but we are going to pull through it.
Yes. Yes, we will, because there's always hope, right?
Always.
Always hope. And captain of the infamous Parma Flyer, it's Crash.
Hey, everybody, we got a lot to go over, so let's hit those S-foils locked and get at it.
Yeah. Oh, man, we do. It's a lot. Heavy stuff. And star of stage and screen, it is the sensational Sherry.
Hey, everyone. Wow, you guys are really nerds, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking with y'all. I'm half asleep, y'all.
I know.
But I'm here.
Coming back from your whirlwind tour of taking a nap on the couch. That's all right.
After I watch the show.
After you watch the show. That's right. So what are we doing here? Our mission is to watch all of the canon Star Wars films and TV shows in chronological order, breaking them down, connecting the dots, and learning more about Star Wars and maybe a little bit about ourselves too along the way. So a word of warning to all you would-be Star Warriors out there will be spoilers. So if you didn't do homework this week, be forewarned, there's going to be some spoilers. So this week we are going to be discussing what was supposed to be the actual series finale of the Clone Wars. This was supposed to be it. They were going to wrap it up on this incredibly cruel cliffhanger. Ahsoka walking away, beautiful shot, walking away from Anakin. Even though we're on take two, I'm still feeling this in my heart. So this arc is a perfect example to explore the moral collapse of the Jedi, Ahsoka's identity crisis, and how all of this, specifically this moment, really sets up for the events of Revenge of the Sith and even beyond that. It's a tragedy for Ahsoka, of course, but it's also a red flag for the entire Jedi idea. Like, this idea of having this far light side organization, and we see how it can become corrupted from the inside. And we are going to be asking the big question: did the Jedi deserve to fall? So that's something that people don't want to talk about. They don't want to deal with, but did they deserve to fall? We're going to talk about that. But first, we have some news coming out of Star Wars Celebration. Holocron Master Keeper, Jedi Master T to the Oni, Jedi Master Baloney. Please take it away.
There's a whole lot of news from Celebration. There's way too much for me to be able to touch on here without going way into overtime, especially since we're on take 2. So we're just gonna keep it short and simple.
We're only 5 minutes in. It's good.
Two new projects. There's a brand new Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord series that's going to be coming, animated series, bringing back Sim Witwer to play the role of Maul. Obviously, we love the character of Maul, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. There's also, of course, the new Starfighter TV movie that's going to be coming out with Gosling.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we don't know a whole lot about that, but the people that are involved are fantastic people. So, definitely going to look forward to that.
And that's a big get. Yeah. Shane Levy, and Ryan Gosling. Those are two big names in the industry right now. And for them to sign on to a Star Wars project like this, that's huge.
100%. And Sean Levy, of course, directing Deadpool. He's so funny. Just by himself, he's funny. But him and Ryan Reynolds, man, doing Deadpool and Wolverine, they're like best besties. So maybe we'll get I don't know. I mean, Disney owns, Deadpool. Do you think we'll have
hilarious?
We'll have an incursion into the Star Wars universe?
I hope. I hope not. Like, I was really rooting for the Gal Gadot Rogue Squadron idea, and this one supposedly is going to be set post Rise of Skywalker, so it's going to be like more in the Poe Dameron era of X-wing pilots. Possibly, that's my side. It could be just generic starfighters. We don't know. There used to be a great PS2 game called Starfighter that covered all sorts of. It was centered around a Jedi starfighter, but there were other characters, and so you can see a non-New Republic character involved. But right now, everybody's kind of hoping this is the evolution of what Rogue Squadron could have been into more of a future timeline.
We'll see. And you know what? Gal would make a good Mara Jade. Another conversation for another time, though. Tony, please continue.
There's also some game news. We've got an expansion coming for Star Wars Outlaws. It's going to be dropping next month. That looks like May 15th. And that the official title for that is called A Pirate's Fortune. And, of course, that means we are bringing in none other than our favorite pirate, Hondo.
Our boy, Hondo!
It's going to be a lot of fun. So for those Outlaw players out there, this might even get me on board with that. We'll see. There's also it is listed as a turn-based tactics game called Zero Company, which there's going to be a bigger announcement on tomorrow, so I don't have a lot of information about it, but it looks like something I would be very interested in, so looking forward to seeing more of that. And then lastly, there is a third season of Young Jedi Adventures that's going to be dropping this fall.
More drinking game activity for us.
Absolutely. And we can definitely have a lot of fun with that. Of course, like I said, there's a lot more news than just that. If you want to check out more news, feel free to hit up our blog page and at circleofnerds.com. There you go.
Hey, I did something right.
You can read up more.
All right. Awkward pause, but that's okay.
And we know the latest project coming up is going to be The Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie. The thing that really got my attention was we've heard that Sigourney Weaver was joining the cast, but we didn't know much about her. Turns out she's going to end up being part of the New Republic, a former Rebellion starfighter pilot. So
cool.
More X-Wings. And just seeing Sigourney Weaver in the orange flight suit, was a picture of her and Jon Favreau and some of the new droids that are going to be seen in the movie. It's just cool to see somebody of that again, major star power joining the Star Wars universe. That's going to be a real.
Oh yeah. Have they wrapped that, or are they still filming, or are they in post?
They might be in reshoots or post. Like it's
okay.
It's coming out next year.
Yeah, 2026.
Yeah.
So
they're probably in post.
They're probably in post at this point, but they could always do reshoots if they need to add on stuff. Because people always fans on the internet freak out whenever they hear the idea of reshoots. Those are the kids that like turned in the first draft of their paper they wrote on the bus on the way to school. Like reshoots happen because people see things and they need to fill in gaps, tweak things. It doesn't mean the production's in chaos. It just means somebody's actually putting some time and some craft into this,
which is usually a good thing. And they'll show it to test audiences too, and they'll say, "Hey, this works. This doesn't work." Because at the end of the day, there's they still want to make money. So I mean, they're going to run it by test audiences. Yeah, reshoots happen. It's not a big deal. I mean, hell, George was reshooting scenes from A New Hope, I think like a month before it released. I mean, they were really, really down to the wire on that.
Well, the effect shots alone, they were running down to the wire. If you're watching that new season of that Industrial Light and Magic documentary, they go into, I mean, those guys were like cutting it close there at the end.
Really close. It's like they were bringing the cut film like to the theater while people were lined up around the block. Not that close. Not that close.
Gluing it on.
Right.
Stick this on.
Right, like they've got like the first 3 reels done, and it's like the 4th reel is still being edited. Like, wait, okay. So can we just talk about, speaking of the Mandalorian and Grogu, and then we're going to get into the show here in a minute. But can we talk about Pedro Pascal, please? This Joe, Daddy Pedro, he stays working. He stays working. Fantastic Four, Last of Us, Star Wars. And whatever, I don't know what else he's doing, but I mean, a million things. He stays working. Holy crap.
He's the hotness right now.
And don't forget, he's people like to make a big deal about him. There are 2 other guys that do the bulk of the heavy lifting on Mandalorian, especially later season. When he's got the bucket, I mean, he's really at this point a glorified voice actor. It was a big deal to do. They do film scenes with him in the suit. It was like when they take the helmet off and it's got to be him.
But he's got stunt guys doing it.
Brandon Wayne and Lateef, something, the guy that do the fighting, the stunts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One does the gunplay, one does the martial arts. Mm-hmm. They're the real stars of that show because 90% of the time, those are the dudes you see on screen.
We should get them on the show.
Pedro's eye candy for the ladies.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Not just for the ladies.
Well, not just the ladies.
I mean, I like looking at Papa Pedro too.
And if anybody's been watching the live stream stage from Celebration, which is a great thing to even watch in person, having been to Celebration, you just hang out there, and they shoot a lot of stuff the first couple days, and then over the course of the weekend they'll replay them for people like us who missed it. But even seeing it live in person or as it's airing, for the people who aren't watching us right now are waiting for the live stream to start.
Yeah, I just downloaded a Star Wars app, and just for news, it came up, and I was like, this is kind of cool. So
him and Dave Filoni were on stage together, and it's great seeing these guys go to an event like Celebration and see the positive side of the fandom. You get all kinds of hate and negativity on the internet and other YouTube channels out there, but there's nothing like going to a Celebration and just being in a room full of people that love what you do.
Yes. And there's an individual who shall not be named, but we know him as a member of the Fandom Menace. He comes up with all these crazy Star Wars theories. We won't mention who he is, but recently, fuck that guy. But recently he posted a video. I'm not watching it because I'm not going to give him the views or the engagement, but essentially he goes to a Star Wars themed amusement park and gets thrown out and kind of brags about it. So it's like, you're supposedly a Star Wars fan and you're doing everything you can to be miserable in the fandom. Just stop. Like do something else. Like find
something else to do with your time other than engaging in the worst parts of the fandom just because you're monetizing it. He also has booths now at cons. He's a Fan Expo Cleveland.
What, really?
Yeah, he's schlocking his sabers.
Schlocking lightsaber. I mean, these are actual like lightsabers from the show. These aren't custom originals or anything.
Mhm.
Got cheap costume part. Like you want a robe, I'll sell you a robe. Blah blah.
All of it's overpriced.
All it's overpriced. All fan groups and people can make way better stuff than he does. The only reason I don't think Lucasfilm hasn't sent him a cease and desist is he wants the attention. So once again, let's say to our Lord and Savior Dave Filoni, fuck that guy.
Well, and he's blacklisted from everywhere now. I mean, this guy, what a fucking idiot. He was in a position to literally be invited to everything. I mean, because he has such a large following, unfortunately, Lucasfilm and Disney would have invited him to red carpet events, celebrations. He could have got a free. There's another group. It's a husband and wife team. I think it's Star Wars Explains.
Oh yeah.
I
watch their stuff. They're pretty good.
Yeah, they're great, and they're kind of like the light side version of this other fool. They get invited to places. Mm-hmm. They get sent boxes of swag. When Skeleton Crew came out, they got sent this big box full of really cool things from the Skeleton Crew show. They get invited out to red carpet events, and then this dude hates on them for that. It's like,
ridiculous.
It's like, I am so grateful that I can find joy in Star Wars. Yeah, I don't like all of it. Some of it's trash. There's a lot of stuff in Star Wars that's complete trash. But there's a lot of stuff in Star Wars that's just great. And the overall message of Star Wars, no matter what iteration you're watching, whatever property you're watching, the theme is always consistent. Hope and cautionary tales. This is what fascism looks like. Beware. Don't do this thing. Don't be a dick. Be nice. And don't go to extremes on either side. Lead a balanced life. Always have hope no matter how dark things are. That's the message of Star Wars. And I fucking love it. And I'm so grateful that we can be happy in that. How miserable, what kind of a miserable existence is this guy? I'm sure that he's got to hawk his cheap overpriced sabers.
And it's clickbait.
It's clickbait. Of course it's clickbait. But he's losing monetization.
Oh, is he?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because his stuff is like so toxic and so volatile. He's lost fans. He's lost monetization. I'm sure that he's gotten hit with some cease and desist that he's not going to talk about, but yeah, he's built this entire life and he's built his wealth off of being miserable and capitalizing on the miseries of others because he wants to antagonize those of us who love Star Wars for better or for worse. We love it. And he wants to antagonize these people, and he earns money and finds joy in that. And that's disgusting to me. It's like, you want to make a buck, you want to do some clickbait thumbnails, whatever. That's fine. I get it. Everybody, it's hard to make money on YouTube. It's hard to make money in the internet space. I get it, but you don't have to make other people miserable.
And you're just dragging the fandom down in general.
And you're dividing
before a lot of this like toxic fandom started in Star Wars. I mean, I talk all the time about how during the prequel trilogy, there were people who were complaining about George Lucas.
Sure.
George Lucas ruined my childhood. Hey, grow up and get a life. And you just ignored them and moved on. But now we've gotten to a point where people are literally making being an angry Star Wars fan
a job.
Profession.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, there are better things to do with your free time.
It's not worth it because we are, whether you are a Star Wars grifter, or if you are a Star Wars shill or simp, as they like to call people that have positive views, it doesn't matter what side of the Star Wars fandom you're on. To the eyes of the other 99% of the people out there, you're still a fucking nerd and a loser living in your mom's basement, watching movies, arguing about movies that involve space wizards and laser swords. So because we're getting all of this external hatred, and bullying from outside sources, why do we want to try to destroy it from within? Like, we're a family. We're a Star Wars family. So why can't we don't have to agree on everything, of course, but why do we have to tear each other down? And that's what I don't understand. And I don't see the point of that.
And it's even affecting the actors. John Boyega, yes. I just saw him last week at C2E2. He was great in his panel talking about how it's great. being in a room with people that enjoy Star Wars, the vibe you get off of that. He just came back from Galaxy's Edge himself. He went with it on his own and rode the Rise of Resistance that he's on. I asked him, I was talking about that in the panel, and
How cool was that?
Kelly Marie Tran. The Phantom Menace chased her off of Twitter because God forbid there be an Asian girl in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And now so much time has passed where she's like, I'm seeing we're hearing the positive side of the fandom trying to take back the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
I'd come back to they're open to coming back to a future project because now with this Rey movie coming, it's like, look, the sequel trilogy had fans. They just can't shout as loud as the grifters and the hipsters.
And that's
but we're out there, and we need to make our voice heard for the positive side of the fandom.
Right.
Like as if there were a Star Wars safe space, as it were.
Yeah.
Imagine that. All right. So speaking of Star Wars safe space, let's get into it, shall we?
Go for it.
Yes.
So this week, this arc was brutal. Started a little slow, but it was a plot building, so we needed that first episode that was a little slow just to kind of set the foundations. It was a caper. Again, if you're into procedural crime dramas, it was kind of like kind of like CSI or bum, right, but Star Warsy. So but we needed that in order to launch the rest of this. And by the end of these 4 episodes, it was absolutely heartbreaking. Again, that last shot with Anakin and Ahsoka outside the temple. You can't see, but I have literal goosebumps. It's just a beautiful shot. It's just so well done. And everything about it was just painful. I watching it, Sherry and I were watching it. And she was, when they were in the council chamber and the council was like, "Hey, our bad, come on back." Sherry was like, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you. I'm out.
Yeah, it was 100% bullshit.
It was 100%
happening now. Are you kidding me? In real life?
Yeah. So you know what? So Sherry, this first question, I want to start with you, because you had some feelings about this. Ahsoka's loyalty to the Order, absolute. It is absolute. There's no question about that. She questions some certain things. Her loyalty is absolute. The Jedi Order, not so much. Did the Jedi ever deserve Ahsoka?
No. My thing
Thanks for playing.
Yeah.
It's just like, because the Force and the Jedi, I think they're great. Like, I think overall what they're trying to do is great. But again, it's just indoctrinating children into learning something a certain way that is not correct. And it's about themselves. It's not about, again, it goes right back to them. We're almighty. We're the ones that can, we have the Force, we can do this, blah, blah, blah. They don't use it, to be honest. They don't use it for good that often, especially within this series. I mean, they're warriors. They're not supposed to be warriors. They're supposed to be peacekeepers. It's like if monks went out and started fighting.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's not the whole point. Is peace and balance but again, it's all about power
and control in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they want to control how they use the Force because they feel that it's wrong. Like if you love someone, if you know what I mean, like if you create attachments, if you do this and that and blah blah blah, and instead of just showing them how to actually create an attachment without using anger. And I think Ahsoka has already mastered that.
Yeah.
With Anakin.
It's that balance for her.
Yeah. And I think for her, that was the last straw. I think she was already having feelings coming up to this, just about certain things. And, but my issue was, how do you not believe someone that stood by you and fought all these missions?
Yeah.
She did so many missions on her own and with them. And
Plo Koon, it brought her in for him to even have a doubt.
That actually made me sad because I like Plo Koon.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, especially with her. I thought they had a really good dynamic.
Mhm.
To be honest, I think he should have been, her master, or her teacher. I don't want to say master. I don't even like using that word, but
I get it.
But yeah, she just, and even Anakin had a doubt. I'm not saying it was a long doubt. I think he, quickly brought it back, but he had a little doubt, and that is,
Yeah.
that's bullshit. It's bullshit. She has went through so much, so she should be teaching them.
Whew.
And by her leaving, that's her teaching them. Listen, no, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. So
Sherry, don't hurt them. That was yeah. You I don't think.
I
you're
mean,
wrong
so
about
I
that.
kind of think they deserve what they got in the end.
And how about that? How about that little moment when she said, "I have to, I have to go. I have to do this," and he's like, "I understand. I get it. I understand wanting to leave the Jedi Order." And she said, "I know." And he looked at her. So she knows his heart. She knows about him and Padme. She knows about Annie and Padme. Yeah.
But
so
yeah, that's my thought on it.
Maybe
she's the one that should have become. Well, she does kind of become the teacher, but anyway, that's a later.
Sherry with the hot take. Maybe Ahsoka should be training the Jedi Masters. I love it. Tony, what are your thoughts? Did the Jedi ever deserve Ahsoka?
The Jedi as a whole, no. Did Anakin? Yes.
Okay.
And I know that there are some upcoming things that we're going to be watching. Tales of the Dark Side, which I'm sure is going to touch on this a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
The questions that I have right now, having not watched that stuff yet, is like, to me, there's so many obvious things of y'all are being played and you don't understand it. So you have the technology in this prison to have a hologram of the cell, but just so happens that the voice breaks out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She runs out and all these people are dead. You don't have images of all that to clearly show that she didn't kill these people because she was still running into that area yet. Like,
correct.
It's so obvious that, and the fact that, and it's a relatively new development for the show to say, hey, there's a lot of pushback now against the Jedi about the war and all this. And a relatively new upsurge in power of the Republic to say, okay, we wanted you guys to be our generals, our commanders, but now we're ready to take this over on our own. We don't need you anymore. And the fact that they just cave in, hey, we want you to expel her from the Order so that we can try her.
And they
just do it.
And they do it.
What the fuck?
Totally bullshit.
And nobody even questions why can't we see why can't we see the footage from the prison? Why,
mm-hmm.
I mean, again, this whole thing started with an explosion that happened when neither Ahsoka or Anakin were even on that planet, probably even in that sector.
No.
Like, how the fuck are you going to come back and say that that she started all this?
Right.
When there's no way she started all of this.
Yeah.
I can understand there's a question as to how this woman died. Because obviously, again,
it was not a good look. It looked like he was choking her out. Right. It was not a good look for sure.
But to go from that to you killed all these clones and you were involved in this bomb plot, that is a leap that is ridiculous.
You are so right.
And the fact that nobody on the council bothered to say, hey, what the fuck?
Obi-Wan started to, but then even he backed off too.
Yeah, where was that robot that was the investigator? Where was that motherfucker at? Because he should have known that, like you said, Tony.
He's that part for me, it was big because that sort of spoke to a larger narrative about this trend in the Jedi Order. After discussing it, I find it interesting that Mace Windu I feel doesn't trust Anakin. This plays
Oh, yeah.
into Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, never has.
I don't think he even respected Ahsoka. We see her at the beginning of this arc almost as if like an equal. Yeah, she saves Anakin on Kata Nemoidia from a plane crash. It was like she was the Obi-Wan and Anakin. Now they were partners. They weren't master and apprentice. They were partners.
100%.
And they brought like you said, they brought them specifically back to the temple because they were not there. You were going to be sort of like a red team to break, to see outside the box for anything. And immediately Mace double backs on them and says, no, I'm going to send this analysis droid to look over your work and basically do a whole, almost like a separate investigation while they're doing their job.
Oh, he was a babysitter. 100%.
And I also want to I find it interesting, Tarkin, obviously, what a jerk.
That guy.
He, I'm sure Palpatine in some grand way, whatever part he had involved in this was the last straw of breaking Anakin's attachments to Ahsoka, and we know Tarkin's his lapdog. So of course he's the one that says, no, we're not going to deal with this through Jedi tradition. We're going to, the Republic, clones were killed. So we're going to, this is now a military matter.
Mm-hmm.
And now the military is going to supersede our generals and in how to proceed with this. And it was just, you could see, because we know where this is where the plot armor starts to get thin, where we understand that there has to be somehow we have to divide Anakin from Ahsoka because we don't see her in Revenge of the Sith. But you start to see the branches of the tree where, okay, Mace Windu's arrogance, compromised Ahsoka. Tarkin is just chomping at the bit to undermine the Jedi Order's authority. And it played out. It's the classic Scooby-Doo. I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids and you're hiding
Right.
Ventress's lightsabers.
Yeah.
Does Tarkin know that Palpatine, or that
I think he does. I think he
knows he's Palpatine? Or
I have a feeling at this point in the game, he would have brought somebody like he knows he has bigger ambitions. I don't know if he knows he's the full-on Sith Lord.
No, I don't think so. At this point, no. It's just
Tarkin, he was really nasty in this episode.
Well, even when we first meet him in the Citadel arc, he had a very low opinion of the Jedi Order as part of the Grand Army. I'm sure that was like a red flag opening for Palpatine to bring him into the fold.
Oh yeah,
that maybe being like, we're military, and then you're bringing in these monks, like
yeah. And Tarkin is that military guy. He's that climber. We see he becomes a Grand Moff. That's what he wants. He wants that power. He wants that influence. He becomes a governor. He becomes, this Moff.
Again,
and he doesn't, and he never liked Ahsoka to begin with.
Nah.
Because she was giving him sass at the Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
And if he is part of Palpatine's grand design on Anakin as an apprentice, you got to get rid of the first apprentice before you do that. And
right.
I think it's all part of a larger strategy to, of all the Jedi that were out and about in the galaxy, why do we pick Anakin and Ahsoka to come back and investigate this bombing unless you're trying to frame Ahsoka for the bombing? That's
all Palpatine pulling strings, because Palpatine he needs to work. He's sculpting Anakin right now. He's grooming him for the dark side. And it's interesting. One thing that you had brought up too is how Ahsoka really gets under Tarkin's skin. And that's a really nice parallel to what we see in the comics and the EU between Leia and Tarkin, because she is the same way with him. She recognizes that he's just like
shit.
I think in one of the comics, she ends up like spilling like water or a liquid or something on him from a balcony, and he's just like, he hates her. So. And we see that in this episode when he grabs Ahsoka's chin, same way he did Leia.
Yeah.
And when he tells Leia, he said, you don't know how difficult it was for me to sign your execution order or whatever. He just did that. He felt so good because he's been trying to kill her since she was like 10. You know, so
What a slimy bastard.
he is a bastard.
And to answer your question, as somebody who survived 8 years of Catholic school, the part that really just bothers me is the fact that, okay, the Jedi were manipulated into abandoning Ahsoka. You know, they could have stood up for her more, I think.
Oh, 100%.
What bothers me is that instead of having this hearing or whatever in the council chamber, even projecting the image of like of their traditions, they don't do it in the council chamber that we've seen out in the open. They have a private little chamber of judgment. And anyone that's been in enough fan groups, I'm like, oh God, this is the private forum where everybody talks trash about people they don't like.
It's very intimidating. It's very
cliquish, and it's
dark.
very Catholic schoolish. And I'm just like, oh man, I had flashbacks of my childhood going, oh yeah, I remember being called to the principal's office because so and so ratted me out on something. Like, I was just like, because you start doing it. They said it was a split. Yoda said it was not a divided decision. So I'm like, okay, maybe Obi-Wan.
That was it.
And
maybe Plo.
Because there's a great shot. I'm going to share it on the Facebook page. Somebody did when Ahsoka said she was leaving, his face changed, like even his mask, like the expression just went from like normal to like almost sad, like just total like shock. Like this.
Yeah, it's knowing that.
I think in his own way, he loved Ahsoka too.
Of course.
Oh yeah. Of course.
So those two, and maybe Yoda, I could almost see being like the 3 votes for Ahsoka, and there were probably 4 or 5 of the full council. I don't think it was a mandate, but I think it was just enough of a majority that Mace's bureaucracy won out the day, and I'm just like,
Mace is a Trump supporter.
I can't.
Mace voted for Trump.
I can't wait to see that guy get thrown out a window. I'm just saying.
This is why I said Mace is one of the worst characters.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. He has potential. I think he needs a redemption arc. I think we need to go back. We need to revisit Mace post being barbecued and tossed out a window, because he's an interesting character. He's a fun character, and he's a necessary character. He really does embody that dogmatic arrogance and structure of the Jedi. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll see. I don't think Saucy Teen voted for Ahsoka. I don't think Kiadi Mundi voted for her.
Mundi might have. I think Mundi and a few of the other, but like Obi-Wan, Plo, Yoda, I think got outnumbered. And
I think it was just Obi-Wan and Plo. I don't even think Yoda, because Yoda and Mace are usually really, really together on most votes, because Yoda can detach himself.
Yoda kind of pissed me off.
But
yeah. I'm just saying.
I will see later. I don't want to give too much away for Tony, but we've seen instances where Yoda's wisdom is overridden by the bureaucracy of the Order, and I have a feeling he cared about Ahsoka too. I think he was like, he would have rather dealt it within the Order, but the idea of expelling her so that this show trial that Palpatine, was Palpatine the judge of this trial, and he's sitting up there. Talking about how he's basically announcing her guilty before the senators could even vote. We've had some crazy Senate votes in the last few years, but even this one, I was like, "What is this shit?" So, and as somebody who's been through a trial within the fan groups, let me tell you, me too. When you're getting railroaded, and it's just like, what the hell?
All right, so Crash, so yes or no, did the Jedi deserve Ahsoka?
The Jedi most definitely deserved Ahsoka, but I don't think they appreciated her enough.
No. Again, it was their arrogance that pushed her away. Now, this whole moment, let's talk about Anakin for a second. Was a betrayal for both of them. I mean, this was hard for Anakin and Ahsoka. Was this the moment, do you think, that Anakin truly began to lose his faith in the Jedi? Yes. Or did it okay. All right.
Yes.
But I mean, can we talk about Padme? Padme stepped up.
Yeah, she did step up.
And I really like that. I just thought I didn't expect her to even be there. So I mean, I don't know.
Padme came in hot.
I just thought that was a big deal. And
no questions asked. As far as Padme was concerned, you are innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Versus the Jedi saying you need to prove your innocence.
Right.
Well, and with what time? Like, at what point from when they captured her to the show trial at the Republic, Anakin's the only one that even made an attempt to either prove or disprove that Ahsoka was involved.
Correct.
All it was Ahsoka say, "Hey, I was with Asajj Ventress. I thought she was helping me, and then she jumps." Like, no one checked anything out. They went from indictment to sentencing. Like, it was because, again, this was just a show trial to remove Ahsoka from Anakin's life.
So basically, Ventress saved her
In a way, yeah.
by telling Anakin what actually happened.
That was a great scene where it's like she has nothing to lose. She has nothing to gain by lying. And Anakin, I think that was, you were saying he lost faith in the Jedi. That boy was unleashed. Yeah, he was ready to whoop some ass to get some answers.
He held back, though. I mean,
and he
really did. He held back. So I love, like, at multiple points throughout this arc, you just see his face. Like, this is his snips. This is his friend. I can't even define their relationship.
Almost.
But it's
almost.
It's like daughter, sister, bestie. It's such a unique relationship. It's such a beautiful relationship that the two of them have, and we'll get to see this relationship move in different directions. And it's just, the entire thing is heartbreaking. And when we see her much later on talking to Luke about, anyway, all right, okay. I can't do it. I'm gonna start. All right. So my next question is for the group, of course. Go ahead and jump in on this. Was Barriss Offee right for the wrong reasons? Like, she was the wrong messenger, but was her message valid? I mean, the way that she delivered that message, not great. I mean, she straight up murdered some innocent clones and innocent people, innocent workers and things like that. But was she right?
She was right.
Yeah.
Yes. But she should have done what Ahsoka did and left the order and tried to fix it some other way, like go off and try to figure something else out. But I think she was angry about her master, and so she didn't turn all the way to the dark side, but she did tap in. And yeah, I think she felt betrayed. And
Luminara is still alive. Her master's still alive. I think she was angry about the role of the Jedi and the what the Jedi are supposed to represent being slowly eroded away. She's right in that the Jedi were losing their way. Unfortunately, it's the difference between peaceful protest versus rioting or setting off bombs because you don't like the way something's going, and especially to frame your friend. At first,
that was a lot.
At first, you didn't catch it when I first watched this show years ago, but you see a lot of familiar characters walking around the background, and a lot of times you thought, okay, they're recycling animation rather than drawing new figures or whatever. Because we saw the younglings from the lightsaber building episode, and that. So I was like, okay, we're seeing a lot of recycled animation, and I was like, okay, there's Barriss walking down the hallway, no problem. And then all of a sudden, she's like, when Ahsoka's talking to the bomb suspect girl, she peeks in the doorway, and you don't think much of it until you realize, oh, she was spying on Ahsoka and getting information. Just like when Ahsoka was talking to her on the phone, Barriss overheard the name. Asajj heard the name Barriss, and when she told Anakin, oh yeah, she did talk to somebody at the temple. This is almost like a classic film noir kind of thing, where it's like everybody's got a little piece of information that builds up, that sort of at the end reveals who the killer really was. But at first when you see Barriss walking through the temple, you don't think much of it. And in fact, Ahsoka went to console her because she was upset, and you could tell her friend was not in a good place. No,
but she was just fishing for information. That's why she inserted herself into that conversation.
Exactly.
So, Tony, what do you think?
Well, I mean, we make a lot of good points. I mean, Barriss the initial point is correct that they're not supposed to be soldiers, and I completely agree with that point. However, she's clearly not in a good, clearly not in a great mindset to do the things that she did to get that point across.
Yeah.
Now I will say, like, I have a little bit of empathy for her because I mean I still remember her suffering through the brain worms and all that shit. Like,
Yeah,
something
she went through
something like that's gonna mess with you. Now I do wonder. Again, we know Luminara is still alive at this point. I'm curious as to why she's not present where her Padawan is, or if she at this point had passed the trials and was now a knight on her own. Because if Ahsoka hasn't passed the trials yet, I don't understand how Barriss would have. But I mean, maybe that's something that we'll find out later. I don't know. So again, I think she has a point, but I mean, this is not the way to do it.
Right. And speaking of the trials,
or is it?
Or is it? I mean,
Is it the way to do it?
When you get pushed to a certain point, but
I don't know. I kind of agree with what she did. Unfortunately, not at Ahsoka's.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
It was, but like they said, I know they said, to Ahsoka, maybe this was your trials. Like, this is. I think it's bullshit. I'm not.
It's a Catholic cop out.
It is. It's a very religious cop out.
It's like, fuck you, Mace Windu. Fuck you for even offering that.
But I think she went the right way with it by just leaving the order.
And that's a good point too. And that I have another question about that as well. About, she walks away from the order not out of weakness,
no,
but clarity. So what does Ahsoka's choice say about real strength of character? You've got all these Jedi masters that are there. They personify power, they personify strength. But who really, had the most strength of character here in terms of, Ahsoka walking away?
This kind of ranks up there with it's 40 years later, we sort of, look at it, that moment where Luke throws his lightsaber away, and says, I'm a Jedi. I won't fight. I won't kill my father.
Right.
That was a very moment of clarity, moral strength kind of thing to do. And you don't quite understand it when you're a little kid and you think, no, you're supposed to fight the bad guys. Well, sometimes the best way to fight a bad guy is to not fight. It's to stand up for what you believe. And with Ahsoka, I mean, they literally were just trying to like do an oopsies with her and say, "Oh, we'll welcome you back," and act like nothing happened.
Our bad.
And you felt for her that, after all of this trauma and betrayal, she felt, they were just going to do a mulligan on her. And I like the fact that when she left and Anakin follows her, Obi-Wan, Blow grabs his shoulders like, no, let them.
Let him be a man. Let him be a man.
Let them talk. Let them talk. Because that's why I think Obi-Wan voted for Ahsoka, because I think, again, she's part of that family. He's part of that family too, and I think that was a sign where it's like, Obi-Wan joining the council was sort of, he was the best of them. And at the same time, he was the junior member. And so I don't think he had as much sway as we like to think he did.
No, but also him being on the council was also a means of separating him from Anakin.
Right.
And I think we as the audience needed to see that Obi-Wan wanted to go after Anakin and Ahsoka. So I'm glad that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that we saw that, because I think we needed to see that. Before we get to the big question, I have a what if scenario. So what's the butterfly effect of Ahsoka walking away? Like, had she stayed, could she have saved Anakin at all? Tony, what do you think about that? Do you think this had anything to do with the potential Anakin's fall?
Absolutely, I do. I mean, again, we asked him before, was this the moment where he started to doubt the council? Was this the moment where he started to lose his faith in the order? Mm-hmm. And clearly he did. And had this not happened that way, had she not left, that wouldn't be as much of a factor. I actually thought you were going to ask a different question regarding the butterfly effect. Let's take this back even further. If Qui-Gon were still around, does that vote go the same way?
If Qui-Gon was around, they wouldn't. I don't think any of them would still be at the Jedi Temple. I think little Annie would have been with Qui-Gon somewhere else, possibly Obi with them. I don't think that. No, it never would have gotten to this. Absolutely not.
It does raise the question. I like the part. And this is fast forwarding a little bit, but in The Last Jedi, when Luke's trying to explain to Rey the failure of the Jedi Order, he's not wrong. At the height of their hubris, they let Palpatine rise up and destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the beginning of that end, where it was just like, okay, you had this supposed chosen one. He has an apprentice. We're going to separate her from him. We're going to separate his master from him. And everything's just feeding him towards Palpatine, feeding him towards the Chancellor, his uncle. And it was just like, you could see, again, we have the beauty of hindsight in both directions, where we know where the story goes. But if for somebody watching this for the first time, having not seen the movies, even they're starting to connect the dominoes of, okay, you remove every little piece that makes Anakin who he is the good way.
Yeah.
And clearly it brings out his worst instincts.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sherry, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that she could have, had she stayed? And we're not blaming Ahsoka obviously for Anakin's fall. This was all
no. This
Palpatine and the Jedi Order's doing. Had nothing to do with her. But could she have saved him? Much like Qui-Gon? I mean, could she have maybe kept him from going down that really dark path?
I think so. I think she had the patience and the foresight to do it. But I think she also knew that he was going down the wrong path, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think she knows that she's seen him go to his dark side.
Oh yeah.
So that might have scared her for herself. Like, I don't want to go to that path. So, I mean, really, let's look at it. Would she have saved him, or would they have become Sith together if she would have stayed?
Yeah. I think that,
because I think she would have eventually, if she would have stayed and he turned to Darth, I think she would have went with him. I do.
don't know. She was so,
I think she loved him.
God, she loves him so much.
As a father. But I think with everything that happened, this was for her. This was the catalyst that was like,
enough is enough.
I gotta go, even leaving him, because she was losing herself to these
in everything. I mean, she was losing.
Yeah, she was losing her own, because even her culture is beautiful. I thought, where she was born, her. Yeah, they are very in tuned with their planet, with their animal. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And how emotionally mature and healthy is she? I mean, that was really shocking for someone being that young and but she's been through a lot, but that was the healthiest thing that I think she could have done. It was the most mature thing, was to get out of this abusive relationship.
It's it's like leaving a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go and find me, and then I can come back maybe.
And let's not forget, she actually warned herself in the Mortis trilogy. She saw that vision of her older self warning her about the path Anakin was on. So I think this was sort of
I didn't know that.
a Burma shave signpost for her going, hey, that Mortis meat was right. Yeah. Anakin's having these moments. Dad's having a few more of his moments than he used to.
Oh shit! Yeah, I guess so. That would do it.
That would do it. And you have that kind of a wake up call, right? I mean, that'll do it.
Yeah,
all right. So last question, the big question: did the Jedi deserve to fall? And they fell, as we know, they fell hard. Did they deserve it? And I thought it was interesting because every Jedi that was in that room, except for Obi-Wan and Yoda, they all got taken out during Order 66. So I'm wondering if that was by design. I wonder if they were all in there set up like that as a, Order 66, maybe a bit of, karma for the role that they played with Ahsoka. But what do you guys think? Did the Jedi Order deserve to fall? Did it need to fall? What are your thoughts? Crash, what do you think?
I don't think I'm a very big fan of the Jedi as a concept.
Yeah.
And this kind of hurts me to say, but I think the Jedi Order, and again, like Luke even prefaced to it, I don't know if it needed to fall this hard. I don't need, I can't imagine. I can't think of a scenario where going into a school and killing the children is necessary.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think the dogmatic side of the hierarchy of the Jedi, of the singular vision of what the Force represents, needed to be put in its place. I don't know if you can change the Jedi from within, but I think there needed to be some forces either through the Republic or within the Order itself. Yeah, I think it changes. I'm really looking forward to seeing maybe what these new Rey, Jedi movie is gonna, how Luke, and we see in Book of Boba Fett, he's trying to rebuild the Jedi, but he's trying to build it the way he was taught by Yoda and Obi-Wan. So I think there were mistakes inherent in the way he learned about the Jedi. I think Ahsoka would be a much better teacher of what went wrong.
Right.
Because literally for her, it went wrong.
It went all sideways. Yeah.
So I think, I don't know if the Jedi Order needed to fall, but it definitely needed to be changed.
All right. That's fair. Tony, what do you think?
The council deserved their fate.
Okay.
Now the order as a whole, no. Did they have some good qualities to them? Of course they did. But their leadership had fallen away from what they were supposed to be doing, and there needed to be a change. Whether that's a culling or however we want to phrase it, something had to change to get them back to where they needed to be. And again, did it go way too far? Yeah, of course it did.
Yeah, a little bit. The whole youngling thing, maybe overkill.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Inquisitors hunting down individual, it definitely was way too far. But they had fallen off of the path where they were supposed to be on, and as a result, yes, they deserve to fall.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that and Crash, you had mentioned it as well about things going too far left or right or whatever. But the Jedi dealed in absolutes. We hear Obi-Wan admonish Anakin for that. Only the Sith deal in absolutes, but the Jedi do as well. They are hardline on certain ideals. They definitely have. They are the other side of the Sith coin, like without a doubt. Light side, dark side. There's no in between. So Tony, I agree with you. I think in many ways that this sort of a culling needed to happen just to shake things up, thin the herd, and maybe look at things a little bit differently. Sherry, what do you think?
Oh, I agree with Tony as well. The council did have to go. I do agree with that. But I think like if Qui-Gon would have lived, because I know he saw it and he was trying to get them
he did.
to change and use the living force. And I think he would have. So I know that's just a what if, but
sure. But I mean, it's all this.
I think, man, him and Ahsoka, wow, he would have been. I'm not saying Anakin wouldn't have been her, her teacher, but I think if he would have lived, the story obviously would be totally different and a little more, And I know this is their story, and this is how the writers write it. It's no big deal. I don't hate it, but
can you imagine that though?
But yeah,
Anakin,
Amanda.
God, Anakin, Qui-Gon,
Yeah.
Ahsoka, Padme, Luke, and Leia, all living in this little fun hippie commune, going on fun Jedi adventures, defeating evil, and learning lessons along the way.
Order 66 was a little much, but
it was a little much.
But that's because look who was doing it.
Right. We had one extreme, quote unquote, cleaning up another extreme.
Right. And again, I personally don't even think, I know they were like, well, Anakin, is going to bring balance. I don't even think there wasn't. It was.
No, there's debate that it was actually
so many innocent that didn't need to be.
Oh, so many. So
for no reason. But yeah.
But a lot of people think it was Luke. Luke brought the balance, and Anakin was the chosen one, and he was going to bring balance to the Force, but not necessarily him
through his lineage. Okay.
Through his lineage, yeah, through his seed brought balance. Yeah. But what he didn't get Padme preggers using the Force. I mean, well, I'm sure there was some Force applied.
Well, no, and we talked about that today. Could she have been pregnant now?
At this time? I don't think so.
How far after does he turn?
No, we've still got about almost a year left.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Yeah. We've still got some time before Order 66.
I don't know the timeline.
I think we're still just a little bit. We're still a little bit off that. Getting closer, obviously. I think season 7. I think she is with child in season 7, but season 6, I don't think so. I don't know. Keeper of the Holocron. That'd be something that we could possibly look up. But
I do want to mention the guards, man.
Oh yeah, the Jedi Temple guards. They look cool, right?
I like their outfits.
I know nothing about them.
And
I really don't.
Sabers are white. I was like, damn.
They're yellow.
Oh well, they look white to me.
They're yellow.
It's a little white, little yellow mixed in.
Cream.
Great. I've seen a few of them. A great costume.
Oh, you've seen them? Like people cosplay them?
Oh yeah.
This is my first time ever seeing it.
I'll find some. I got some old pictures from celebrations when I'll put them up on the SafeSpace page. And
okay,
I got
they're really cool.
Yeah. But my favorite part of this entire arc, besides the goodbye scene with Anakin and Ahsoka, which is great because if you ever heard Ashley and Matt Lander talk, they had to kick everybody. They recorded as an ensemble. They had people. And they had to kick everybody out of the room. It was just her, Matt, and Dave. And apparently that was it took a while to get that scene right. It was an emotional scene for the characters. It was an emotional scene for the actors.
Yeah, of course.
But the one I like is in the second episode. Yeah. When Ahsoka's running from the clones and she's just dodging stun bolts left and right, which we'll get a hint of where that comes from. But I like the big literal cliffhanger. I called it the fugitive moment, where she's like standing there at the edge of the drain.
Yeah, Tom.
And Anakin's pleading with her to come back, and you can also hear like Tommy Lee Jones. I don't care. Only this time he does. I do care.
Right. And it was so cool. Yeah, because of course we see that Harrison Ford, old Han Solo, did that, and then they just
we were sitting there. He goes, "Oh my God, the fugitive."
Yeah. And Dave, Dave did that shit on purpose.
Oh yeah, Dave there's a lot of little references to things that a younger audience might not get, but as you get older, you start to go, "Oh, okay, there's some media literacy going on here."
And I thought it was interesting too because when she went down into the depths, they talked about how she was on level 1312 and level 1315, but they never mentioned 1313. And I thought that was interesting because that was, for those that may not know, that was supposed to be like the Boba Fett origin story video game that was scrapped. And I've always been very disappointed that was scrapped, because the concept art for young Boba's armor at that time, and it was just him on level 1313 becoming Boba Fett, and so I like that they were at least using level 13 something But I found it interesting that they didn't mention 1313.
Yeah, at the time I think the game was still in development. It was a potential. But just this was like really the first time when we started seeing the underworld of Coruscant being explored, and you go from like the prequel movies and Clone Wars, where Coruscant's this bright, big, Saj even mentioned, not everybody lives in a grand temple on the surface,
shiny temple,
temple, and I was like, okay, so Coruscant's got a seedier side, and there's all sorts of like you said with the game, there was so much potential storytelling you could do on Coruscant, and it just never developed. And it's just another case of where it's like a great concept, kind of got salvaged by Dave in that, okay, we can't do 1313, but how about we can do the floor?
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll move up a floor, down a floor, and that'll be all right.
Kind of reminded me of Fifth Element.
Yeah. When they went to the bottom,
when she jumped, that's straight up reminded me. Like,
so I'm wondering if that was influence as well. Again, I don't know the dates of the Fifth Element, but I'm pretty sure it predates.
Oh yeah, that was like
Clone Wars. It was like late 90s. Yeah. So Dave is such a nerd. Dave, we love you. You're such a freaking nerd. I know you're pulling all these references from different places, and we love you for it. All right, so that is gonna do it. We're gonna get into our obligatory pimpage here. For next week, there is no homework, so there's nothing to watch because the season is wrapped. But we're doing one last episode in our season, and we're gonna be looking ahead to season 6, and we'll be talking about the future of Star Wars. We kind of touched on a couple of projects, today, but we'll go a little bit more in depth next week. So we have homework to do, but Star Warriors, you guys don't have any homework, so
come join us anyways.
Yeah, come hang out anyway. Jump in the comment section, and we'll be doing it live again. So come in and join us and be part of the conversation.
And we'll remember to record.
The first time.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's because this is unfortunately not the first time this has happened, and in the past, Tony has reminded me, but I've been pretty good about it, and so I think Tony is not.
To be fair, you caught it quicker this time than last time.
The last time we were like we were like 30-40 minutes in.
Yeah, it was bad.
I was like, oh, what the fuck. So that was a rough one. All right. So before we head out, we're gonna do like I said, our obligatory pimping. Check out the blogs. We're gonna start posting blogs, probably not on like a regular basis, but if we've got something to talk about, something newsworthy, we'll throw it up there. So circleofnerds.com/blogs with an S. And of course, if you want to get some of the sweet merch, you want to get all drippy like we are, circleofnerds.com/merch, and show the world that you are Swarzy curious. And speaking of Swarzy curious, you can look for our Facebook group full of like-minded Swarzy curious folks who don't make each other feel bad for not knowing every little intimate detail of the Star Wars universe, because we know a lot collectively, but we don't know everything. So you know a lot more than you give yourself credit for. So we're not Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni knows everything. Sam Witwer knows everything about Star Wars. We are not them. We know a lot. But not everything. So join us in the Swarzy curious group. Tony, did you find something?
From what I can see, they don't give an official timeline. However, she is not pregnant at this point.
Right. So
there are later episodes within the show where it is made obvious to the audience that she is pregnant, but it is still not made obvious to Anakin, which is a whole other question, because like this actually, took me down a little bit of a rabbit hole with when she tells Anakin that she's pregnant, she's at least like 7 months along.
Oh yeah. Yeah, easily.
And how the fuck does he not know at that point? Like,
she's gone, man.
It's the robe, man. It's the robe.
Well,
you're right.
And he was away on, in the movie the Outer Rim sieges. The him and Obi-Wan were off in the outer ridges of the galaxy with the war. He may not have been able to call in as much as he used to.
Yeah, he might not have. I mean, yeah, he was out for. I mean, really, we see a nice little montage of that in the micro series with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Just they're out there just so long. Anakin's hair grows out. I mean, it's like they look a little more battle hardened. I mean, they're just out there in the shit. So
it's possible.
Yeah. And also, we know Padme likes to wear a lot of fucking big robes and shit. So
I understand. But even if we're not talking clothing, like, I'm sorry, you have the Force and you can't tell if there's something going on. Really?
That is a
Especially
good point.
She should have been way bigger with some twins.
That is a great point.
Well, and don't forget, not only is Padme's not necessarily keeping her pregnancy secret from Anakin, but she had to keep it secret from
everybody.
the Republic.
Nobody could know.
The local news, and she starts wearing. In the Queen's, I can't remember what E.K. Johnson books. They talk about Padme in the Senate. They had to adjust her wardrobe, and some of the other senators were noticing she was wearing more flowy, big gowns. She's got to hide the fact that she's got a baby bump from C-SPAN.
Yeah, because they're going to ask who's the daddy.
Who's daddy?
Who's baby daddy? I like that C-SPAN Coruscant political network. So, all right. But yeah, so I'm thinking there's a lot of ways to cover it up. But Tony, you bring up a very, very good point. And again, one of the plot holes with the cheat code that is the Force. How did Anakin not sense those two powerful life forms growing inside of his wife's belly?
I think because they were with the light side, because they were innocent babies and he was reaching into the dark side and it was clouded. He couldn't see it.
Okay. Or was Palpatine?
Or they were protecting themselves. Luke might have been, pregnant or not, he still had the Force. Yeah. So he might have been protecting Padme and Leia.
Palpatine knew. Palpatine could have been.
Palpatine's a different.
He's a different animal for sure. But he knew Padme was pregnant. He knew that they were together. He knew everything the entire time.
He did, yeah.
And he used it to manipulate Anakin. And I think maybe, actually, now that I think about it, maybe he did mask that from Anakin because he still needed Anakin to do some stuff. The last thing that he needed was Anakin to be distracted by knowing that his wife is pregnant. Because I think that had he known that,
he would have left.
He maybe would have dipped out.
He would have dipped out.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? So
no, he would have dipped out and took care of those kids, and that was it.
Yeah,
he would have ran away with Padme.
I don't know. I mean, he was kind of a deadbeat dad with Luke and Leia, though.
He didn't know about them.
No visits, no child support. When he found out, he could have done some back child support. Did you see his house? I mean, he's living all right. He's getting that good government paycheck. He's doing all right for himself. He's got that big temple on Vajun. He's got his own, his own stuff. He was doing all right. When he did find out, he could have sent the check, but he didn't.
He found out.
This reminds me of a meme that I saw where it's just a little like cartoon meme, and it's from episode 4 where Vader's in front of Leia and she's, he's like arguing with her and she's like, Dad, you never let me do what I want. And he's like, go to your room. My room was on Alderaan.
That's hard.
Hilarious. Holy shit.
But we've seen how
he argues more. She goes, well, let's just see what Mom says. Oh, that's right.
Ouch.
I'm sorry. That's funny.
I could see Leia saying that though. She's sassy. She's sassy. But again, we know that Anakin and Darth Vader. We know that Darth Vader doesn't like kids. Clearly. So he clearly does not like children, unfortunately. So he was a terrible father. Terrible father. Anyway. All right, let's wrap this up.
All right.
What a fork in it, it's done. All right, so head on over to the website, circlenerds.com. Check out our merch, check out our blogs, check out all the stuff. You can check out the timeline, circlenerds.com/the SWS show. I need to make a thing for that too. And you'll find what's coming up. You can check out our podcasts there, all the information about the show, most of the information about the show, because I still need to put more information about the show there. So, all right, that's it. So thank you for joining us and for tuning in this week. We appreciate you. And of course, as always, a big thank you and much respect to all of our active duty service members and veterans for your service and sacrifice. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for all that. And especially for what many veterans are going through right now. It's a rough time. rough time. So, anybody have anything else on the way out?
No, this was a good season, and it was
Great
just
season.
brutal that this is the way the show ended. But we get a comeback.
We get a comeback.
Right,
We get
and it needed to end this way.
ooh, and season 6 and 7. Talk about a comeback. Woo!
All right.
All right, we're gonna get into it.
Don't
We'll
tell
talk
me.
about. All right, it's gonna be good stuff. All right. So Star Wars, as always, remember, if no one does anything nice for you, do something nice to yourself. And we will see you all next week. And if I can push the button and do it properly, yeah, we'll see you next week. All right, bye.
Bye.